What's up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ravi Wadden, and in today's video, I want to talk about an amazing lease offer on a brand new Tesla Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive, which can be had for roughly $299 a month with $2,999 due at signing. Now, the reason I'm making this video is primarily for those of you that are looking to buy or lease this car. So if you really want to compare buying or leasing this car, if you're considering leasing this car, you'll get a lot of value from this video. So what we'll do in the first part of this video is we'll dive into the financials of leasing a Tesla Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive. And I'll also talk about things like the buyout option, because Teslas don't have a buyout option at the end of the lease, and that's something that you want to consider. But even with Teslas not having that, I still think leasing a Tesla is a great financial decision, and I'll explain why. I'll also go over things like due at signing, because even though it says $2,999, you'll actually end up paying a little bit more, and I'll explain why. And then in the second part of this video, what I'll do is run my 1.25% rule of leasing on this Tesla Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive, and I'll show you why I think it's a great lease deal in terms of value, and why leasing this particular car makes a lot more sense than financing this particular car. And then in the third part of this video, what we'll do is we'll compare the monthly lease payments to the monthly finance payments, and I'll show you why, the cost of ownership of leasing this Tesla Model 3 just makes a lot of sense, especially if you're not planning on keeping this Tesla Model 3 over the long term, like I would say 5-6 years or longer. And the last thing I want to mention is that if you are considering buying or leasing a Tesla, you can use my referral link below and you'll save $1,000 on your next Tesla lease or Tesla purchase. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into the computer behind me and jump straight into the video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are on Tesla.com, and as you can see, we're looking at the Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive, which can currently be leased for $299 a month with $2,999 down. This is a 36-month lease that allows for 10,000 miles a year. And as you can see here, this car has an excellent range of 363 miles, a top speed of 125 miles an hour, and a 0 to 60 time, which is very respectable, of 4.9 seconds. Now, the first thing that I think a lot of people mistake when they're looking at Tesla leases or buying a Tesla is that this box is usually checked, and it says include estimated gas savings of $83 a month. So as you can see here, the monthly payment reduces to $216 a month. So a lot of people think, hey, $216 a month, that's a no-brainer, but they're factoring in gas savings. So the first thing you want to do is uncheck the gas savings here. Now, the second thing that I like to do now, Tesla has updated their website, is you can click on Edit Terms and Savings. Now, before I click on Edit Terms and Savings, one thing that I do want to mention is that this is a base Tesla Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive. So as you see here, if I want the white paint, it's going to add $1,000. The blue paint's going to add $1,000. The black's going to add $1,500. The red's going to add $2,000, and then the Quicksilver, which is their newest color, along with the red, is going to add $2,000 as well. And obviously, it's going to impact the monthly lease payment as well. And if you go with the Nova wheels, that's going to add $1,000. And if you go with the white interior, that's also going to add $1,000. And if you want it full self-driving, that's $8,000, as you can see here. But what we're actually looking at here is just a base Tesla Model 3 long-range rear-wheel drive. This color doesn't cost any extra money, and I still have the white interior selected, so pardon me for that. And as you can see, it's $299 a month with $3,000 roughly due at signing. Now let's go ahead and click on Edit Terms and Savings. Now, one thing that I like to do here to get a really, really transparent view of what the lease is actually going to cost is click on Include Estimated Taxes and Fees. And I tried to click on Estimated Taxes and Fees, and it's not doing it. So let me just actually refresh this Tesla page and hit Edit Terms and Savings again. All right, so here we are on the Edit Terms and Savings page. And one thing that I like to do is click on Include Estimated Taxes and Fees. And as you'll see here, the due at signing amount increases to $4,805. Now remember, this $2,999 is just a down payment. It doesn't include taxes, it doesn't include registration, and it doesn't include the rebates or the taxes, excuse me, that you would have to pay on rebates. So here in the state of Washington, let's say you get the $7,500 EV tax credit. Well, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. And 10% of $7,500 is approximately $750. Now, if we click on Show Details, they have a pretty good summary of what the taxes and fees are. And as you can see, it totals up to $3,502. And you'll also see that Tesla leases are subject to a $395 disposition fee on return. And you have to factor in this disposition fee because Teslas don't have a buyout option, but in my opinion, it still makes a lot more financial sense to just lease this vehicle because with buying this vehicle, you really expose yourself to other financial factors that make leasing far more attractive. And I will get into that a little bit more later in this video. But I just wanted to showcase that the $2,999, a lot of people look at this and they think that that's all they owe, or that's all they'll have to pay when they start their Tesla lease. But in reality, when you hit include taxes and fees, it actually increases to $4,805 a month. And the cool thing with Tesla leases is that they're dynamic and very transparent. So if I wanted to adjust this to a 24-month term, you'll see that the monthly payment actually increases to $421 a month. Which really doesn't make sense, at least from my perspective. And if you wanted to do a 12,000 mile a year lease or a 15,000 mile a year lease, you can do that, and the payment dynamically adjusts, which is great. And one thing that I always tell people is to make sure that if you're going to drive 12,000 miles or 15,000 miles a year, then just get that lease up front. Don't be tempted to get 10,000 miles a year, and then you're going to end up paying 25 cents a mile, and that's 25 cents a mile is a lot more than just buying the extra 2,000 miles a year up front. So yeah, that's another hot tip from my perspective that I do want to share with you all. And as you can see here, the due at signing amount includes your selected down payment, first month's payment of $307, and your acquisition fee of $695. Now, what I want to do in this section of the video is actually bust out the handy dandy calculator and run my 1.25% rule of leasing. Now, my 1.25% rule of leasing is a very simple calculation that you can run on any lease deal that you maybe are shopping for. And anytime, it's just a value metric. So anytime you get a number under 1.5%, that's a good lease deal. If you get a number under 1.25%, that's a great lease deal. And if you get a number under 1%, that's an amazing lease deal in terms of value. So relative to the MSRP, it just tells you whether or not this vehicle or a particular vehicle makes sense to lease versus finance. So what we'll do first is run my 1.25% rule of leasing, and then we'll compare the monthly finance payments on this car to the monthly lease payments. So what we'll do is actually click on Edit Terms and Savings again, and click on Include Estimated Taxes and Fees, and we will take this $4,805 that's due at signing, so $4,805, and we'll subtract the monthly payment of $339 from that amount, since this $339 that you see here is included in the due at signing amount. And when we do that, we get $4,466. Now what I'm going to do is divide this by 36, since this is a 36-month lease, and when I do that, I get $124. And now what I'm going to do is add the $339 monthly payment back in, and when I do that, I get $463 a month. This would be my monthly payment. And this would actually be what we call the effective monthly payment, because your down payment, all of your registration fees, all of your taxes, everything is rolled into this number. So in a hypothetical situation, if you just did a sign and drive lease with nothing due up front, your monthly payment would be $463. Now, Tesla is not going to let you do a sign and drive lease, but we just do this for the sake of running my 1.25% rule of leasing. Now what we're going to do is take the MSRP of this Tesla. We'll actually take this out. Yeah, we can include taxes and fees. The MSRP is $47,930. Actually, it won't include taxes and fees. Let's actually just click on cash here. And the MSRP is $42,490. So what we'll do is we'll take this $463 and divide it by $42,490. And that gives me 0.0109. I'll multiply this by 100 to convert it into a percentage and move the decimal point over 2 spots. And when I do that, I get 1.08 or 1.09%. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, this is a number far less than 1.5%. It's even lower than 1.25%, which if you get a number under 1.25%, that's a great lease deal in terms of value. And it's approaching the 1% lease mark. Like, you can get this Tesla without any negotiation at 1.08%. It's almost a 1% lease deal. So in terms of value, this is an incredible lease deal in terms of value. Now let's talk about why leasing this particular Tesla makes a lot of financial sense. Now if we click on finance, and let's say we do the same $2,999, due at signing. Let's do a 72-month term. So it's saying down payment must be at least $3,801. Okay, let's just do $3,999 due at signing. An estimated interest rate of 5.29%. If you include the $7,500 federal tax credit, you can go ahead and do that if you're eligible. So you can actually click on View Criteria. And as you can see here, the eligibility criteria is that you need to make less than $300,000 for married couples filing jointly, less than $225,000 for heads of household, and less than $150,000 for all other filers. Now, as you can see, there are other price caps as well, and the MSRP cannot exceed $55,000, and the MSRP on this particular long-range rear-wheel drive is $42,490, so it's far less than $55,000. But oh gosh, of course we lost everything there. So if we finance this vehicle, you'll see that the monthly payment, and if we include taxes and fees, the monthly payment on this vehicle is $715 a month. And if we lease this particular vehicle, the monthly payment, effective monthly payment, is $463 a month. So, you're saving almost $300 a month. And this $715 is with $4,000 down. So, and if we rolled this $4,000 down into the monthly payment, your effective monthly payment on the financing would be, I'm not sure, but it would be probably in the $740 to $750 range if I just went off the top of my head. So substantial savings with leasing this vehicle. And that's because, Tesla, in my eyes, is actually subsidizing some of the depreciation, right? So when you think about when you're financing this particular car, Teslas depreciate like crazy. I think there is no disputing that or arguing that fact. And then on top of that, Tesla is also on a mission to lower the price of their vehicles, right? So that doesn't really help your resale value either, and that's another downward pressure on depreciation as well. So when you lease this vehicle, you know what your depreciation is going to be. You're protected from that downside risk. And let's say if you finance this vehicle and in 3 years you wanted to sell it, my guess is that if you financed it, you're going to be and you only put $4,000 down. I would probably honestly promise you that you're going to have negative equity. Probably $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 of negative equity, and you'd be paying $715 a month versus $463 a month. And then at the end of 3 years, with this monthly payment, you can just turn the car in. You don't have to worry about negative equity. And that's the beauty of leasing. And that's the beauty of leasing this particular car. And even if you factored in the $7,500 credit, your monthly payment's still $593 a month. And that's with $4,000 down. Meanwhile, the effective payment on a lease is $463 a month. And the beauty of leasing also, for those of you watching, is that you're not subject to this income or these eligibility criteria listed here. So, you can make $1 million a year as a head of household or a married couple, and you'd still get the $7,500 EV tax credit if you were leasing this vehicle. And if you finance it, you just won't get it. So that's another pro to leasing this Tesla Model 3. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I think leasing a Tesla Model 3, at least this trim, the long-range rear-wheel drive, makes a lot of financial sense. Now, the Tesla Model 3 Performance doesn't lease as well. And if you want to see a video on that, let me know in the comments section below. And if you guys have any other questions about Tesla Model 3 leases, just let me know and I will get back to you. But all in all, I think leasing this car makes a lot of financial sense. Maybe there's a couple outlier reasons of why financing makes more sense, and that's if you're planning maybe on owning this car 8 to 10 years. But if you just want something for 3 years, or if you're going to keep your car 5 years, leasing is the way to go. You're going to save a ton of headache. You're going to have a lot of peace of mind because you're going to have downside risk protection. You're not going to have to worry about negative equity at the end of the lease. And then at the end of the lease, just turn your car, walk away, and you could probably even lease another one. And over that 6 years, I think your cost of ownership would still be less than if you were to finance it up front. And remember, if you want to lease this car or any other Tesla, I do have my referral link below, and you'll save $1,000 off of your next finance or Tesla lease. But with that, I'm going to call it a video. Thank you all for watching. Financial knowledge is power. Please like and follow for more.